Hey guys, what up? So I'm doing a follow-up video, and I did a video that gets quite a bit of attention, and it's this video called "Is C Sharp Dying?" So I did this video in June of last year. So it's been over 13 months since I've created it, and so what's changed in the 13 months to make me want to follow up on this video? Number one, I didn't say it was dying. I posed the question, is it dying? And if you watch that video, there's quite a few examples in there that I gave as to why I felt like the language itself could be on the decline. And some of those things were just simply based on the fact that the language itself, based on like TLB index, Google Trends and everything such as that, showed that it was on the decline ever since about 2014. But since that time, and I really feel like Microsoft saw the writing on the wall. They ended up doing quite a few things that turned a lot of heads to make C Sharp a much more I guess valid solution, because the age-old argument is that C Sharp and .Net only works on Windows, and even now people will tell you that, but it's not actually true. .Net, so Visual Studio Code here. This is Visual Studio Code. This just recently came out. This is written using fuck, I don't remember. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's the hell is it written in? Damn, I just couldn't think of it. It was called Electron anyway. So this Visual Studio Code is written in Electron. It's a cross-platform solution to building actual software applications. So it's surprising they didn't even write in C Sharp or anything. But the reason why I mentioned Visual Studio Code is because Visual Studio itself only worked on Windows for the longest time. But just recently, Visual Studio got released for the Mac, and hopefully Linux is down the road. But there's still valid concerns with people saying that it's a Windows only system, and even now .NET Core is maybe not fully production ready for a lot of things that you may end up doing with it. Like for instance, I was trying to find a database driver for Postgres outside of Entity Framework, and that didn't work. But that was about probably at least 8 months ago now or more. But what has C Sharp done in .NET Core, and have they turned things around? I really feel like Microsoft is headed in the right direction, where like if you're a C Sharp developer, a .NET developer, obviously you want to continue to be one, because you're going to get your bread buttered through that for the longest time, probably for the rest of your career at this point. But like if you look at Microsoft's, one of the reasons why they're going to continue to be a potential powerhouse, and you look at in 2016 they made 16.79 billion, and this is net income, so this is profit. They are a very, very profitable company. So even as a company that's essentially failed with their Windows Phone and their tablets, and a lot of other things that Microsoft's tried, like Silverlight, their Edge browser is a disaster. Well, maybe not really Edge, but Internet Explorer is a disaster. A lot of different things that they've done, even with the Xbox, the Red Rings of Death, and all that stuff. But Xbox has been pretty successful for Microsoft. Obviously, Windows has been successful, and their .NET ecosystem's also been very successful. A lot of businesses are running off of Microsoft technology, and that's going to continue to be the case. So when you're looking for a job in this market, you want to go where there's a lot of opportunity, and for that reason there's a lot of opportunity in .NET, and that's going to continue to be the case. If we look at the most popular languages, there's really no place we can truly go to that, but a lot of times we go to the TLB index, which has been around for a long time. But you can see C Sharp here is ahead of Python. They kind of switch back and forth. But yeah, this list here obviously shows that C Sharp's not going anywhere either. Now, because of the fact that C Sharp was not relevant in both the tablet and the cell phone market, it really limits C Sharp developers and their ability to be able to make money in this industry. So it's like, well, what are they left to do if Windows isn't a viable product for the tablet or the smartphone? And for that reason, Microsoft also saw the writing on the wall, so they purchased Xamarin. So Xamarin gives you the ability to make cross-platform applications for iOS and Android, and you can do so writing it in C Sharp, and it's considered it's very similar to like React Native kind of thing, but it's still I think a little bit like if you were to say, hey Chris, do you totally recommend Xamarin for mobile app development? Can't really say that I'm completely convinced. I haven't spent enough time with Xamarin to say that it's a great option. I know a lot of people really swear by it, but there's also a lot of other products out there that that could turn some heads as well, which is like React Native, especially now that React Native is getting into their virtual reality. And then you also have, just native development, or you even have Kotlin now that you can write Kotlin for the Android SDK, or just simply writing native code with Java or something. So I'm not necessarily saying that I could recommend C# for mobile apps. Like, you might be better off using one of those other technologies. But if you're already an established C# developer, clearly Xamarin is going to be the best opportunity for you to get into the iOS and Android marketplace. It's going to take the least amount of time if you're already familiar with the tools. So you want to do that. Now, if you compare C# to Python, can Python say the same? Can they say that they have something like Xamarin for making mobile apps? And they really can't. There's this project called Kiwi, which is a cross-platform solution for you to be able to write Python code that can be ported over to browsers. But besides the fancy-looking website, this thing was nowhere near production ready as of like a year and a half ago. And it's definitely not a Xamarin type solution. And once again, I'm not sure that I'd recommend that over native development either anyway. So where's another area that C# started expanding into to try to stay relevant? And that is with, the most important thing is with .NET Core. .NET Core is Microsoft technology that runs on both Windows, Linux, and Mac. And just like with Golang, where you are actually, if you bundle up an executable file and you distribute it, bundled into that is the actual runtime, the .NET Core runtime, which will allow your program to run on Linux, Mac, Windows, whatever it is, and it's guaranteed to work. So you don't have to have the customer set up a virtual machine or install .NET Core, blah blah blah, this version or that. It's distributable. It's going to work. So same thing with Rust and Golang. They both do the same thing. So that's kind of the future. Like, nobody wants to have to set up or tell their client machines to have to install the .NET runtime and all that stuff. So it's like that's the step in the right direction. So .NET Core works. Another thing too is that it's open source as well. So a lot of this stuff is available. It's freely available to take a look at. Like their Roslyn compiler for C# and everything is all available on GitHub. These are all different directions that Microsoft's taken over the last few years, and it's all because of, in my opinion, them being on the decline. The fact that they weren't relevant in gaming and app development and even web development, they were becoming outdated in, because a lot of people were using Node or Ruby on Rails or Python. There was no need to use ASP.NET and spend a bunch of money. There was no need to spend a bunch of money on Azure when you can go to Linux or Linode or DigitalOcean for a fraction of the price. But they've changed all this stuff, and now they're competing. Azure and AWS are doing very, very good in the cloud computing ecosystem. So companies looking to back up their data or to really scale, you're looking at AWS and Azure, the two leaders. So if you're going Azure route, then it's the .NET ecosystem, and there's going to be opportunity there as well. Finally, the last thing I'll really touch on is that Microsoft came out with this thing called the XNA framework, which it had a lot of potential, and even some major games were developed using it. But unfortunately, Microsoft, because they weren't making a lot of money with it, they ended up disbanding it. Now, if you wanted to continue with XNA, there's the Mono game framework, which you could still use, which runs on Mono. I wouldn't really recommend this for gaming engines or anything, but they work closely with the Unity game engine, and that's actually probably the best news for gaming and C# is that you can create some successful games using something like the Unity engine in C# and have some decent success there. So definitely something to take into consideration. Finally, when it comes to really database-driven websites, a lot of data-centric applications and a lot of data-centric companies, they need to have reliable, robust database solutions. I'm talking most of your Fortune 500 companies to manage everything from their marketing campaigns to their customer accounts and things like that. They're using full-scale relational databases, and one of the most tried and true industry-leading database systems out there is SQL Server, which is also a Microsoft .NET product. And the tools that you can use to integrate into other Microsoft stuff it's just endless. And for all of those reasons, not being a Microsoft fanboy or whatever, that's why .NET's here. That's why it's not going anywhere. Microsoft has enough power, enough money. They've had enough power and money for the last 4 decades or so. that they're going to continue to be a force in this market here, more so than I would say somebody like IBM. Like if I were going to bank on Microsoft versus IBM, I mean Microsoft by a long shot is much more reliable, I think, than a company like IBM and their products. And that's not even really a knock against Big Blue or IBM. It's just that like if I compare the two companies, they're of like size, and Microsoft is definitely much more suited towards the long term. Clearly, if you're a Swift developer with Apple, you're in good shape. If you're a C# developer with Microsoft, you're in good shape. Hell, if you're a Java developer with Oracle, you're going to be in good shape. Golang is going to be a good option because Go is going to continue to drive a lot of their stuff. If you're a C++ guy, then I feel bad for you. I'm just kidding. No, C++ is obviously here to stay as well. And then obviously one of my favorite languages, which is Python, and Python's very it has a lot of niche industries. So depending on what you want to do with it, but if you compare something like Python to C#, you have a lot more tools at your disposal to make real world scaling cutting edge applications with more hand holding tools, I think, with .NET compared to Python. But Python's going to give you more customizability. It's going to be much cheaper, and it's not going to be as fast, but it's probably going to be faster to develop. So, all right, guys, that's really all I got, man. .NET, C#, definitely here to stay for a long time. All right, take care. Bye. Hey, guys. So a lot of you ask me, how do I get my foot in the door to become a programmer? And I just want to take a moment to mention Dev Mountain Coding Bootcamp is a 12-week intensive course that focuses on the technologies of the here and now for web development. Some of the things that they're actually teaching in this 12-week course, it's geared to get you into the industry by focusing on things like jQuery, Node.js, React, Angular, how to use GitHub. So a lot of the things that you're going to need to do as a developer as soon as you start, they're going to be teaching you in this coding bootcamp. And the entire goal is to be able to get you into the industry within 12 weeks. So if you guys are interested in learning more information about Dev Mountain Coding Bootcamp, just check out the link in the description tab of this video. Thank you for watching, and have a good day.